So we have a verb tense in English called the imperative. It's when we use a verb quickly to tell someone to do something and the sentence doesn't actually have a subject. We say things like, watch out, or be careful. In this English lesson, I want to look at the imperative with one particular verb. I want to look at the imperative with the verb to have. We use the verb to have with the imperative in some very unique ways. So, in this English lesson, I'll talk about 7 of them. Sometimes in English we use the verb to have in the imperative when someone's going to go do something and we want them to have a good time when they're doing it. My kids often go out with their friends now. My kids are getting older, so they don't always go out and do fun things with me. Sometimes they go out with their friends, and I might say one of these 3 things. I might say, have fun. I might say, have a good time. Or there's a very informal phrase we use in North America. I might say, have a good one. So when someone is going to go do something and you're not going with, you might want them to have a good time. You might want them to have fun. So as they leave, you might say, hey, see you, have fun, have a good time, or have a good one. Every once in a while, someone you know will go on a trip. And I'm sure you want them to have an enjoyable time on the trip. So you can use the verb to have in the imperative to wish them well. You could say, see you later, have a good trip. You can specifically tell them that you want them to have a good time on the trip. You want it to be a memorable trip, a fun trip. You want them to enjoy it. So as you drop them off at the airport or as you say goodbye as they leave, you might say to them, have a good trip. It's also very common for me to use the verb to have in the imperative at the end of my workday. As I'm heading out the building at the end of a workday, I'll often say to a colleague, see you tomorrow, have a good night. So I'll use the phrase have a good night because I want to wish them well. I do actually hope that they have a good night. If it's Friday though, I might say something different. I might say, see you Monday, have a good weekend. So we can once again use the verb to have in the imperative to wish someone well. You could say have a good night, or you could say have a good weekend. Sometimes we use have in the imperative when we offer something to someone. Sometimes when my kids come home from school, they're a little bit grouchy because they're hungry or they're thirsty. I might say to them, here, have a cookie, have a snack, have a drink. Before we start talking about what their day was like or start talking about what they did at school that day, sometimes they just need to eat something and they just need to have a drink. So I'll use the verb to have in the imperative to say things just like that. Have a snack, have a drink, have a cookie, and then we'll talk about your day. Another English phrase that we use with the verb to have in the imperative is the phrase have mine. This is a phrase we use when we give something that we have to someone else. A few months ago in the middle of the winter, we were on a walk as a family, and I wore my gloves, but I noticed one of my kids didn't. So I said to them, here, have mine. It's really easy for me to stay warm when I'm outside in the winter, even if I don't have gloves on, but I noticed that my kid kept putting their hands in their pockets and that they were a little bit cold. So I said, here, have mine. You might also do this when you're eating. Maybe you've ordered a big meal at a restaurant and someone is looking at the food you ordered and says, wow, those French fries look really yummy. You might say, you know what, I don't really want them, have mine. So basically when you say have mine in English, you're giving something that you have to someone else. It's a really nice phrase, isn't it? Sometimes when you're looking at something interesting and you want someone else to look at it, you might use the phrase, have a look at this. Maybe you're looking at a news story on your computer and it's fascinating. You might say to someone, hey, have a look at this news story. It's really, really interesting. Maybe you're walking outside and you see this really strange insect that you've never seen before. You might say to one of the people that you're walking with, hey, have a look at this. Do you know the name of this bug? So another English phrase in the imperative using the verb to have is the phrase, have a look at this. Another common English phrase with the verb to have in the imperative is the phrase, have a seat. Okay, maybe this one is only common in a classroom. As many of you know, I'm an actual teacher. I go to work every day at a school, and each and every time I start my class, I usually end up saying, have a seat. When I arrive in the classroom, students are usually standing and talking. I wait until the bell goes, signaling the start of class, and then I say, okay everyone, have a seat, let's get started. So a common phrase, but maybe only common for people like me who are teachers. When you're in a classroom, you might hear the teacher say, have a seat. Well, thank you so much for watching this English lesson about how to use the verb to have in the imperative to say a variety of things. Remember, if this is your first time here, don't forget to click that subscribe button and give me a thumbs up if this video helped you learn a little bit more English. And if you have the time and you're not sure what you should do next, why don't you stick around and watch another English lesson.